The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation. Make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels. Operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Seattle, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35004. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. Let's get started on a brief orientation. First, starting at the front bumper, you'll find the mechanical siren located on the bumper face. Just inside of that location, you'll find dual air horns. Attached to the frame rail, you'll find 2 protruding tow hooks, forward facing. You'll also find your electronic siren and PA speaker on the driver's side. Moving up onto the cab, you'll find a turn indicator marker light. Just inside of that location, headlight structure housing low and high beam headlights. Above that, emergency warning light. There are 2 grab handles on the passenger and driver side for gaining access to the windshield, along with 3 windshield wipers across the seamless one-piece windshield. On the outer edges, you'll find your mirror housing a flat and convex mirror. Moving up to the very top on the passenger side, you'll find an additional convex downward-facing mirror. Inside of the location, you'll find 5 running lights located across the brow of the apparatus. Directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the roof of the apparatus, you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Inside the light bar in the center is your Opticom. Let's take a look at the driver's side of the vehicle. This is a full view. We'll focus now in on the cab section. First, starting down at the bottom with the wheel and axle, you'll find Alcoa wheels and Firestone tires. Moving up to the A-pillar, you'll find a emergency warning light on the A-pillar. As we move up, you'll find also on the A-pillar a side-facing camera. They're easily accessible with a gloved hand. These are your door locks and latch. You'll also find grab handles at points of entry for gaining access in and out of the cab. A shoreline inlet directly over the front axle, a side-facing emergency warning light directly over the front axle, and as we move up to the very top section of the roof, forward section above the door area, is where you'll find a angled floodlight. You'll also find a side-facing floodlight on the upper portion of the cab extension. Let's go ahead and take a look at some close-ups of the items we just talked about. First, with the shoreline inlet. As we move down to the wheel, Alcoa wheel, and also Firestone tires. Let's go ahead and move inside the cab area. Let's first start on the driver's area with the door panel, which houses all of our safety and warning information. There is a door lock and latch, in addition with electric windows and a grab handle. Let's move to the floorboard area. First, starting at the very bottom section, you'll find under the seat the air shutoff and also air inlet outlet. At about the right ankle of the driver, you'll find the manufactured for the City of Seattle. This is your date of manufacture, 5-digit job number, gross vehicle weight rating, cold tire inflation, VIN number, and all of the components, fluid capacities, and fluid types for your vehicle. Let's move once again down to the floorboard area, where we'll start here at the base, starting with 2 foot pedals. On the far left, you'll find the air horn. Just inside of that location, you'll find the electronic siren. Moving up to about the left knee, you'll find the master battery switch. It's the silver quarter turn. To the right, you'll find the tech module, engine, transmission, ABS diagnostic port, and display port. Moving down, you'll find ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen switch, engine diagnostics, and regen inhibit switch. Just above that, you'll find the brake application gauge. To the opposite side of the column, you'll find your pump shift. There are instructions from road to pump.
and also from pump to road. Just as a reminder, for pump operations, you'll need 2 green indicators, pump engaged, and OK to pump illuminating for pump operations before leaving the cab. As we move up to the dash area, on the left you'll find a fuel restriction indicator, also the start and ignition switch. Just down to the right you'll find a switch labeled EM, which stands for Emergency Master. This will engage or disengage all emergency lights. Just to the right you'll find your headlight switch and a switch labeled Panel, which will allow you to brighten and dim lights within preview of the operator dash. On the opposite side of the column, you'll find the OK to engage the high idle indicator and switch. As we move up to the gauges on the left, you'll find your transmission, oil, DEF level, and water temperature. On the right, you'll find front and rear air, fuel, and volts. Directly in the center, tachometer and speedometer. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. Let's move just to the right of the dash area. General view here. Let's start first at the very top of the screen. This is your Pierce command zone, a tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Please see the owner's manual for more information. Windshield wiper and fluid applying to the windshield push. As we move down, you'll find the engine brake on and off switch, settings for low, medium, and high, load manager, mirror heat, front wheel lock. You'll also find the pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. It is the yellow diamond. Moving just to the right, you'll find your Allison transmission pad, a digital readout with an informational note to pump in drive. Just beneath that, you'll find the flat mirror and convex mirror control. We also have an informational warning, always engage parking brake and run engine while using the front wheel lock. At the top of the image, you'll find your climate control for heat defrost and air conditioning, and also an informational caution note, disengage retarder when on wet or slippery surfaces. Let's move downward from this location where you'll find the keypad to release the parking brake. As we move overhead of the driver's position, you'll find this yellow placard indicating the height of your vehicle, 9 feet 8 inches, length 30 feet 6 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 42,740 pounds. To the right, some switches: emergency master, high beam flash, opticom, air horn, siren brake, and Neal valve switch. Let's move just to the right of this location where we'll find some additional switching information: driver's flood, brow light, passenger flood, perimeter lights, and deck lights. Moving once again to the right of this location, you'll find the traffic advisor. And then moving further to the right, you'll find your mechanical siren control. Underneath the siren control for the mechanical siren is where you'll find your PA system and also electronic siren module. You'll also find a do not move your apparatus light if illuminating. It's indicating you have a compartment or ladder rack down. Let's move now behind the seat area. First, we'll find your inverter located directly behind the seat. As we move to the rear section of the cab, let's start first with the door panel. Once again, affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information, window controls, door lock and latch, and grab handle. As we move to the rear seat, you have 2 forward-facing seats and 2 rear-facing seats. On the base pedestal area, you'll find a flashlight on each side, and then also lift and turn latch will gain you access under the pedestal area to the rear seats. You'll also find engine access just forward of this location for your daily checks for oil and transmission. Let's go ahead and move exterior now. Let's go ahead and move now to the passageway in between the cab and the pump area. At the stepwell area, you'll find additional storage on the passenger and driver's side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pump panel area. We'll first start on the passenger side with, at the very top of the screen, the master intake valve. This is an electric valve on the passenger side. Moving just inside of that location, you'll find foam system instructions and specifications. Just to the right, you'll find your Foam Pro system module, which controls the foam, and also the foam level A. This is the level of foam in the tank. As we move to the right, you'll find diagnostic information around your engine, around the outer edges, along with a tachometer in the center, tally lights for warning and also stop engine lights, and an audible alarm at the base. As we move further to the right, you'll find your master intake gauge and master discharge gauge. In between the two of those is where you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged and are for testing purposes. Just beneath that, you'll find the RPM counter location, and then moving to the left, you'll find a flow minder. This is for the rear officer side discharge and also a reset on the flow minder. Moving to the right, you'll find your water tank level indicator. Further to the right, you'll find an engine shutdown switch. It is a protected switch. Further to the right, you'll find a twist. This is the engine cooler. It's not a pull. And then also you'll find your Hale thermal relief valve indicator. There's also an audible alarm just next to it. The outer edge of that audible alarm bezel does allow you to brighten or dampen the sound. Further to the right, you'll find light control and also an indicator, green, indicating pump has been engaged. Moving just to the right, you'll find the control module for the driver's side master intake valve. As we move down from this location, you'll find the minimum operation maintenance schedule. We'll go over that in just a few moments. Also, your push to prime air prime. There are instructions for best practices, at least 1,000 RPMs. Moving further to the right, you'll find your intake relief valve. There are instructions on the device itself. As we move down on the panel, you'll find all of our color-coded and labeled discharges. As we move to the center, you'll find the pink deck gun. This is a wheel valve. And then to the right, you'll find your in-control pressure throttle governor. Just beneath that, you'll find an audible alarm again. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. We do have a warning label here regarding fall hazard. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's move just to the right of this location, an additional warning label. Only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment, and that's only after they received proper training. Directly above that warning, you'll find your tank to pump and also tank refill recirculating line. All the way to the right, you'll find additional discharges. These are also color-coded and labeled. Let's go back to the minimum operation maintenance schedule for 150, 200, and 250 PSI. On the left are the associated GPM at test pressure, and on the right are the associated RPM at test pressure. We do have the 5-digit job number in the upper left-hand corner. This happens to be -02, which is the second truck in production. You do have a Hale pump. That's the placard regarding the type of pump that you have. Let's move forward of this location. You'll find additional lighting on each passenger and driver side, which are directional, and your master stream device. As we move around now, just behind the pump panel is where you'll find all of your cross lays. We'll go over those in just a few moments too, but first let's start at the pump panel with a warning label that if you're going to climb onto the vehicle, always face the vehicle. Just beneath that, you'll find the cab lift. There are instructions for raise and lower, and also danger and caution information. There are two 2.5 discharges located on this side. Also, because of those discharges, we do have a warning label here. Pressure hazard. Caps may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening them. In the upper portion, you have an additional discharge for your crosslay and also a warning label regarding entanglement hazard. Because of those lines coming from aloft, there is the possibility of entanglement. Also, an additional warning label here. Never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. Let's move downward from this location. The manual pump shift is located inside the pan door location. And then we'll move down to the very bottom section of the pump panel. Let's start on the very far left with the 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet. This is a ball valve. As we move to the right, you'll find your large diameter intake. And then just beneath that, you'll find all the color-coded and labeled discharge drains. As we move further to the right, once again, that's the placard for the Hale type of pump that you have, and also your pump drain. Let's take a look at some close-ups. First, let's start at the very bottom section. We'll go ahead and move now to the body of the vehicle. We'll identify a few items within this area. As we move to the very first compartment past the pump panel, you'll find adjustable shelving and LED lighting. You'll also find wheel chock storage in front of and rear of the rear axle. The blue cap is your DEF cap. As you move to the rear of the axle, the silver cap is your ultra low sulfur diesel. Let's go ahead and move down to the very bottom. Once again, Alcoa wheels and also Firestone tires. I would like to point out one thing here. This is your exhaust. Extremely hot temperatures do exist, especially during regen operations. Be cautious where you park your vehicle and have a safety plan. Let's move now to the rear. Once again, wheel chock storage and also ultra low sulfur diesel fill location, the silver cap. As we move from this location to the very rear section of the compartment, once again, adjustable shelving, LED lighting, dry deck material. You do have a light box located in the lower portion and an additional storage location in the upper shelf area. As we move to the rear of the apparatus, we'll identify a few items. Let's first start with the two switches on the left-hand side. You have a deck lights and also rear suspension dump. Moving just above that location, you'll find the driver rear discharge. This is a 2.5 inch. We do have some warning labels here regarding pressure hazard because the cap may be under pressure. Be cautious when opening. Also, there is the ability to climb onto the apparatus. Always face the vehicle when climbing on it. As we move more toward the center, you'll find an additional drop down with LED lighting, ventilation, and dry deck material inside. Also, you'll find your traffic advisor just beneath that and also a recessed backup camera. Let's go ahead and move now to the right side. First, starting with an additional large diameter discharge. You also have a warning regarding fall hazard and entanglement hazard because the line's coming from a loft. Once again, the far right, large diameter officer side discharge. This is the one the flow meter meters. As we move to the very bottom section, ventilation and dry deck material, double door. Let's go ahead and move from this location around to the passenger side of the vehicle. Rear compartment, ventilation, LED lighting, and also an additional light box located in this area. Let's move forward of this location. SCBA bottle storage to the rear of the axle for 3 bottles. As we move to the forward section, an additional SCBA bottle storage location. Alcoa wheels and Firestone tires. From this location, let's move to the midsection pump panel area. We'll first start at the very top section of the pump panel. This is the crosslay, once again, through compartment. We'll identify a few things. You have 2 dead lays, driver's side crosslay, and officer side crosslay. We also have, because of those lines, an entanglement warning hazard. Your discharge in the upper right-hand corner. As we move further down on the pump panel, let's identify a few more warning information. Once again, face the vehicle while climbing on it. There are 2 2.5 inch discharges located on this side. In addition, with your powered equipment rack, there are instructions to raise and lower. There's also danger information because this is a mechanical arm that does have movement. At the very bottom section is your large diameter pump intake on the passenger side. Also, once again, fall never ride on the vehicle while it's in motion. As we move further down into the pan door area, you'll find your foam system valve. And then moving further down, you'll find the manual control override. Because this is an electronic valve, there is an override. Also, as we move down, you'll find the foam drain behind the pan door. Also a 2.5 inch auxiliary female ball valve. And then all of our color-coded and labeled discharge drains at the very bottom section. This is your powered equipment rack. Once again, instructions to raise and to lower. We're now to the section where the pass-through area. This is a walking space, and there is also an additional compartment on the passenger side. As we move inside the cab now of the passenger side, again, affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information, door lock and latch, window control, and grab handle. Overhead, you'll find speakers in addition with push on or off white or red lenses, and also your intercom system. At the base of the pedestal, access into the pedestal area and also a light box. As we move exterior, this is on the passenger side, you have an additional shoreline inlet and also an emergency warning light. Forward axle, I should say front axle, you have Firestone tires and Alcoa wheels. As we move into the officer space, let's start with the door panel. Affixed to the door panel, all of our safety and warning information, electric windows, door lock and latch, and also grab handle. This is the location behind the officer seat. As we move to the floorboard of the officer seat, you'll find a foot pedal for the air horn. Moving now just to the left side, you'll find 3 12-volt access points, barrel style. As we do a general look overhead, let's identify a few items. We'll start in the very center area with your AM/FM CD weather band Sirius XM radio. Moving just to the right and slightly under that area, you'll find the FireCom wireless base station, and then further to the right, you'll find your FireCom control module. To the right, driver flood, brow light, passenger flood, and perimeter lighting. We're back to the exterior now. You can see the 2 fold-down steps located on the vertical side sheet. Also, you'll find your 24-foot extension and 14 roof, along with a 10-foot folding ladder. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upper section of the cab area. This is a non-walking surface. And then also just a quick further down look from the pump panel into the pass-through area. As we move further back, you can see the 2 lights on the passenger and driver side, in addition with top access for your crosslays and your master stream device. As we turn around and look at the dunnage area, you'll find the top fill location for your water tank top fill, and then also your foam class A. There's also an informational note: do not mix different brands or consistencies of foam for the possibility of foam failure. That's going to be the warning label on the top of the tank lid. Let's go ahead and take a look now rear facing. This is the hose bed area. There are 4 dividers located here. As we move to the hose bed cover, 2 access points, and also I'd like to point out this is a walking surface. The yellow diamonds indicate the perimeter or edge of the walking area. You also have 2 hose trays here for your large suction hose. General view here now of just the side of the vehicle with all compartment doors in the open position. Same thing on the passenger side. Few more images here. Rear section, compartments in the open. We'll move back up to the cab area. I would like to point out the difference here on this side also is you do have an additional charging point location for Shoreline Power directly over the axle, and also the A-pillar has a side-facing camera. Congratulations, Seattle, Washington, on your new Pierce fire apparatus, job number 35004. If you have any questions regarding your vehicle, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.